Hi, welcome to Shrink Wrapped. I'm Allison Colarossi here with Dr. David Colarossi. We got some things to talk about.
This is going to be a exciting podcast because we're a little bit late and we have lots to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. Number one, Christine Brown is engaged.
What do we think about that?
I'm happy for her.
Okay, what else do you think about
She already posted that she's going to go wedding dress shopping. Remember she made her wedding dress last time and didn't get to really have a wedding. It was like a nice dinner.
Uh-huh.
And when Robin got married, she's so jealous. So I'm happy for her. Have a big wedding. She must be
I'm happy for her too. Okay, but can we just be less
rosy?
Less. I know we're big fans of Christine.
You want my judgments?
Yes, I'd like your judgments. Trying to think of it. Yeah, get to the judgments. What do we think?
It just seems like a weird thing to have a wedding, like a big second wedding in your 50s.
That is not the judgment I thought you were going to have.
What was your judgment?
Wait, hold on. No, now, but I'm curious. What's the problem with a big second wedding in your 50s?
I don't know. I guess you just asked for my judgment. I'm happy for her, but I'm also kind of well,
what?
I don't know. I think in general, I'm not a big fan of big weddings anyway. So okay. I wish you didn't put me on the spot. I don't have any negative judgments.
There could be people listening and be like, yeah, I got a real problem with her.
Wait, what is your negative judgment?
That she moved out of this caustic relationship with Cody. And I think it's been less than 12 months.
No, 2 years.
It's been 2 years?
I think so.
She's been dating this guy for 2 years?
No. Because in February, we found out that she was in love with him.
February was 2 months ago. What do you mean 2 years?
Maybe they've been in there a year. I don't know. I don't know the timeline. I thought she'd been out. I thought she had moved out of Flagstaff 2 years. After 2 years.
Okay. Let's just my judgment would be, and maybe I don't know what the exact timeline is, and 2 years seems a bit more reasonable, but I do feel like, based on what we know, right? So there's stuff behind the scenes that we don't know, but it feels like she is moving from one marriage where her whole identity was wrapped up in the guy. It was all about this relationship, right? It stole her soul. Mm. And then it doesn't feel like she's been, to me, on her own long enough. I think that there was benefit to Christine figuring out who she was outside of a relationship with somebody else. And I didn't like it when in February she came out and she was like, I found my soulmate, I'm so in love. And it felt like it was the first person that she had dated. So it's like she's running from one, it feels a little codependent to me moving from Cody to somebody else and then being like, this guy is perfect, and then rushing to a marriage so quickly. And I'm happy for her, and I hope she has a one. I mean, I'm very pro Christine. If she were my daughter, I would say, hey, cool your jets.
Well,
if she was my daughter, I would say, slow down, date more people, make sure you've been with this guy for at least 4. She needs to be with herself for 4 seasons and with this guy for 4 seasons before she dives into a marriage.
Because who knows what someone's going to do in the winter.
That's right. I mean, it's funny because I stole that from another psychologist who used to be my mentor. But he always said, telling people 4 seasons, you got to be there with them for the full year. But people do change in different times of the year. Different things trigger them. Different things, leave them to act in different ways. I
think there might be a YouTube video coming out about being triggered.
There is. I have one that's coming. Yes. There will be an explicit. I think people on this channel know how I feel about it. Yes.
So I think she was emotionally out of the relationship the whole time during COVID. So I feel like she was by herself. So she had the 4 seasons by herself, really.
Okay.
Because he just was with Robin and didn't come over and was mad at her the whole time, and she gave him the finger, really. She didn't.
Yeah.
So that, one of the things that Dr. Drew has said in the past, which I think is you need to know how to break up with people. Like that's a skill that you have to learn like as you're growing up. And I think like like the way she is about this relationship, as she has posted on social media, it seems like how she was getting into the relationship when she was with Cody.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you read the book, like, she was all in. She chased him. Like, he wasn't sure. And it kind of feels that way here, too.
Yeah.
But I hope it works out.
But at least this guy doesn't seem like the same narcissist that Cody was.
I don't know this guy at all. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about him.
But he's not. Somebody with Cody's personality would have hopped into the spotlight if that's how they were built. Right? If this guy wanted to, he could get a lot of media attention right now.
Well, I thought there were two different kinds of narcissists: the undercover narcissist and the outward narcissist. Maybe he's just undercover.
That's possible, but he's not. He is not an overt narcissist like Cody.
Okay, but I mean, undercover is just as bad.
Okay, true.
So what if he's that?
Well, he could be, but at least we know he's not one of them, right?
I'm just shitting on your point, okay?
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, always, I really enjoy that about you. It really makes the conversation go well. Yes.
No, we don't really know anything about this guy.
He could also have, you know, he could be a psychopath.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
There's clearly a lot in the world these days.
Speaking of psychopath, let's transition to you wanted to talk about. Okay, before this podcast, we're like, okay, what do you want to talk about? And she's like, I really want to talk about the Bikram documentary. And I said, Allison, you keep doing this thing where you bring up, she just exclusively watches like these horrific documentaries. And then she goes, I want to talk about this documentary. I go, but I haven't seen it, so I can't really add much. She goes, I don't care. I'm going to talk about it anyway. No,
I mean, I just want to say it is a really good documentary. And I think it goes back. It's on Netflix. And
Wait, what's it called?
It's called Bikram. Don't make fun of me. Hold on. Why do you have to do that? It's Bikram, like the guru and the predator. Okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think you got it, or close enough.
But it's about his like rise to the top, from where he came from. He came from India and studied under a master yogi. Which, like, it was kind of interesting because I didn't know that was a thing.
Because you were a Bikram Yoga person, right?
No, I was too wimpy for it, but I did it once. And remember, I actually think I did it because it was at the time when he was, like, really rising, when you were in graduate school, and there was a Bikram studio, like, in Culver City or wherever you were living in LA. Yeah. I went to it.
Yeah, I feel like you took me to hot yoga.
Yeah, and I think that was his studio. And now, like, it's all coming back to me. But remember, I walked out and they yelled at me.
I don't know.
It's very aggressive in there, and that's all part of the culture. And I did not know until I watched this documentary. I just thought I was wimpy.
So Bikram Yoga is more than hot yoga.
It's 26 postures that he said that he developed these 26 postures in a row. And you do it at 104 degrees in a room. And it's very healing emotionally and physically. Couple things that came from it is he stole those postures from his guru. Mm-hmm. Like one of his students said that. Mm-hmm. So Bikram really didn't create it, but he made it big. And one of his major lies was that he was able to get his green card fast track directly from President Nixon because he saved President Nixon's leg. President Nixon's leg was crushed. And through Bikram Yoga, he was able to walk again, and it didn't need to be amputated. So he got a green card.
And that's a lie?
That was a lie. But, like, that was his thing on all these news outlets and stuff.
Wait, I don't understand. He was sleeping with all of his yogi students, right?
No, just some of them. And he assaulted them. So this goes back to what we were talking about before about these people that have so much charisma that they get these followers. So Bikram Yoga had like this huge following, and people wanted to train under him. They wanted to build studios with the Bikram name, and so in order for you to have a licensed Bikram studio, you had to pay $10,000 and go to 9 weeks of training. where you're all in a hotel, and I guess like you work out all day and you're like starving. They don't feed you, and he basically ridicules you during the process. But some people like really found that the training to be healing, and also like a lot of the people felt like he really saw them. Like that came out a lot. Like he could see more potential in me as he's ridiculing me and all this stuff. And it was just so interesting because even though there's like two camps, some people are like mad at the people that called him out for rating them because they had changed their life. Bikram had changed their lives so much. So
okay,
it's very interesting.
Hold on. So everything you're saying, I'm not convinced that there's anything untoward going on as far as you said assault, but take that out of it. That's just a franchise model. I have a product, I'm able to sell it. If you want to join whatever it is, Jack in the Box, you pay me 10 grand. And I will train you how to run a Jack in the Box, and I'm going to teach you how to market Jack in the Box, and I'm going to show you how to make all of our hamburgers. I'm going to show you. That's just that's how any franchise operates, right? So that's not a problem. And then his teaching methods, he's yelling, but that's not in
Not
and
just
of
yelling,
itself.
he's ridiculing.
Okay, so we don't like his style, but
and it's a racist comment.
Okay,
too.
that's not so good. Okay, but I guess
belittling in front of others.
Okay, but I guess my question is, if he's belittling people, and some people like it, some people don't, but he's belittling them, but he is giving them, he's allowing them to go have their own yoga studios. I'm not sure that's not a cult. And then he's people, which suggested it's not consensual. So it's not like a cult, like when you think of, who's the guy at Waco?
Wacko from Waco.
Yeah. Thank you.
David Koresh.
David Koresh. So David Koresh is sleeping with these women and or I don't know what he's doing, but he's sleeping with women, and he has got them believing that, they should be honored to sleep with him. Right? Like he's manipulating them into a sexual relationship, but it sounds like this guy is just straight up raping people.
Well, no, I think he tried that first, and it didn't always work. So he was the guru. He couldn't sleep at night, so he would like call people in to massage him. And then, so like, I think some of them were like empowered by their yoga and like didn't want to
I got it.
guru.
So he manipulated his way into it then.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, and I feel like he preyed on a lot of people.
There is
some people's insecurities.
There's a weird thing where this, like, someone that can, and I don't know what the psychological mechanism behind it is, but there is a weird thing where some people respond well is the wrong word, respond favorably to like abuse, right? It's probably psychologically it is. I grew up in a childhood, my childhood was abusive. I was abused. I was mistreated by adults. And here I have the opportunity to sort of fix that trauma. I'm going to go relive that trauma, but I'm going to prove to this new dad that I'm a good person. So Bikram verbally assaults somebody. They feel shame. They feel that same feeling that they felt when they were a kid. And then if he ever shows them affection, they're sort of psychologically feeling like that it's reparative.
Yeah.
It's not, it's distorted, but I think that's my guess as far as what's going on, but I don't know. It is an interesting thing how some people respond very differently to abuse in that.
Well, and then, these rooms were filled with like thousands of people and like no one stopped it. I'm always shocked by that, or like left and was like, you're gross. They just wanted it so bad.
I think you overestimate your ability or anybody's ability to stand up to authority.
I think that like in my younger years, yes. But I feel like I'm feeling more empowered now to do it.
But you are in a very empowered position now.
No, but even like, Like, I even feel like more empowered to speak up just in general, like at the PTO, not based on my work.
Okay, but I agree. Maybe you're more empowered now than you were when you were.
But maybe 20. that's just maturity.
It's maturity. It's experience. It's stability. It's a happy life outside of that. If PTO goes bad, that is a 0 in your life.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're in a very empowered position. Like you, in the big scheme of things, you want for very little. Mm-hmm. But somebody who's a 23-year-old woman who grew up in an abusive household and is like looking for some direction and some stability and sees this, super flexible guy that puts them in the sweat lodge, but whatever that suits their fancy, then they're going to, you know what I mean? You're not operating in it's harder to push back on authority than you think.
Well, and I was watching some of the trainings. It looked intense. Like, so they were probably proud of themselves when they finished it. But he wasn't all abusive. Like, he would be, someone would be like, I want to go to teacher training. He'd be like, you'd be the best teacher ever. So he'd like lift them up and bring them down and lift them up and bring them down. So it was like a weird.
Yeah. You know what drives me crazy just outside of this? Like the military does it. I feel like frats do it. It sounds like he did it a little bit. And a lot of my clients do this, where they have this idea that they have the ability to manipulate people psychologically. And so they do that thing where they will be intentionally rude or mean, or they will intentionally break somebody down with the goal of then building them back up. And I feel like I hear this everywhere. Oh yeah, I try to, really, when someone joins my team, I want to break them down and I want to mold them in my image. And I'm like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, I know so many psychologists. I don't know a single psychologist that would ever think that they have the ability to psychologically destroy somebody and then intentionally rebuild them.
And to think that there's trust thereafter.
Right. But there's so many parts of our society where people are like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. You join a frat, you're going to break somebody down. They're going to spend the whole night, blindfolded sorting Cheetos or whatever. And then somehow they're going to feel like you have broken them down and you're going to build them up in your image. It's just like, you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing whatever the guy ahead of you did. And he just did whatever the guy ahead of him did. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have that level of sophistication.
Break them down. Break you down.
Yeah.
So obnoxious. It's like grandiosity. Is that the right word?
Well, I think it's a distorted sense of self-agency or something. Yeah. Okay, but I want to talk about Rachel Hollis. You had talked to you. So I feel like you have a hidden relationship with Rachel Hollis.
I don't. It's not hidden. I am a fan.
But you are really sometimes like you're not a fan.
No, I am a fan. I'm less fangirl than I was in 2019.
But you still religiously listen to her podcast.
No, I pick and choose some of them.
Okay, fine. You rotate between Rachel Hollis and Gretchen Rubin.
By the way, Gretchen Rubin's new book comes out. Not a plug, but I'm going to read it, and then we'll talk about it. Gretchen Rubin, I'm going to read your book. I'm a super fan.
Okay, all right. Can we talk about Rachel Hollis? I want to talk about this because I think it's an important. I don't mean to make this podcast all about things that piss me off, but what you told me about her bothered me. Can you share what you?
Well, no, just at the pinnacle of her career, when when she was doing those big sellout tours, I went to, I don't know how many. I went to 2 or 3 of her conferences. Right, 2, 3.
Based on how much they cost, I'm hoping it was just 1, but apparently it wasn't. Yes.
No, I went to 2 of them because I went with 2 different people. So, and I would have gone to another one because I liked them. And during the conference, like the main thing was, she's working really hard, but she's happy, and how she does it all is she has so much help and all this stuff, and she's really happy with how her life is going, and she's thinking of where she wants to be in the next 5 years. And one was she wants to only fly private. I remember that. It was just like a big deal. Like, it just seemed, her life seemed great at the time, and like never a moment, was she regretting what she was doing in the moment, or like it never came out? And then the pandemic hit, she got divorced. Like everything seemed to be unraveling for her. And I was just listening to her podcast about the one thing that these gurus won't tell you, like these self-help gurus, is that yes, but are you happy? And she said at that she was in a round table with all the gurus in self-help at the time, probably like Tony Robbins and all them. And one of them said, if you only had 3 years to live, are you living the life that you wish you had, or something? It was something like that. And she took that to heart and went home and like bawled her eyes out, because she was not living the life that she'd wanted. She was never seeing her kids. She was never home. She was on a plane. And her advice to us was like, yes, but are you happy? You know, you like, for her, she always wants the next thing, the next biggest, more money, because she grew up impoverished. But is it making her happy? And she needed to stop and think about that, because it wasn't. And I just thought that was really interesting and telling, because in the moment when I'm spending all this money to go hear her, that wasn't the message.
But you also found it empowering.
Yeah, I did find it empowering going to hear her.
Yeah, you came home. No, you thought it was empowering when you were hearing it the first time, and when you came home, you were listening to the podcast in the car or whatever, you came home and you said, like, this was an important thing that you learned from Rachel Hollis, so that you should ask yourself, But are you happy?
Yeah.
So you like the lesson.
I love the lesson.
And for me, I think it's so annoying. I think it is incredibly annoying. Like, for all of these I have thought a lot about, okay, I have a YouTube channel. Like, what do I do with it? Right? I can do reactions to pop culture stuff. I think that's fun. I have another one where I can sort of, I feel like what do I want to make of this? And I think it's really, like, the typical path is to, like, just give advice. But what I hate about that is every single person that gives advice on the internet, I think, is full of shit. I feel like all of them. I have never heard Rachel Hollis. I've never heard Gretchen Rubin. I've never heard Mel Robbins. I've never heard Tony Robbins. I've never heard any of these guys. Alex Hermo. I've never, Tom Bayou, whatever his name is, never heard any of them ever say, I'm really f***ed up right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. Ever. But I have heard them say constantly, hey, I went through a rough patch back there 6 months ago when you were paying me. I was going through a rough patch, but I figured it out. And now I'm solid. It's always shitty time back there, and now it's right. And it's just like, Rachel, I have been aware of Rachel Hollis for at least 3 years. Like, I would say at some level tracking her work, right? First, she starts off with, I have an exceptional marriage. We are navigating COVID better than everybody. We do date nights on the driveway. We're so romantic. And I remember Dave Hollis saying, yeah, we make out on the reg. And she's like, yeah, we do. We're so, right? Next month, divorce. And they go, hey, you know what? It was a really, really tough time that we had. We went to a therapist for the last 2 years, and it wasn't working. And now we're both going to go our own ways and be much better. Rachel publishes a book. Dave Hollis comes out with his first podcast and hardly even mentions it and says things are going to be great moving forward. We're both empowered now, right? Move forward. Dave Hollis publishes a book. It's about how you need to be empowered and show agency and pursue your dreams. Take your ship, leave the port with your ship and go find whatever, another port or whatever. And it's great. You got to travel the seas alone. And I know what I'm doing. And I am so happy I left my executive job at Disney to find this other port, which really empowers me. Then he goes onto his porch of panic, has a panic attack because he's either on Adderall, cocaine, he's having a manic episode or something. He has a breakdown on Instagram Live. Then he comes back and he says, I was having a really, really tough time. I'm going to take a month break from social media, and now he's stable. again. And it's the same thing. We find out now, like my guess would be not super stable ever through that whole time. He gave up a tremendous amount, but he never says right now I'm f***ed up and I don't know what to do. Like we never see that. It's always, I have a plan. Here's what I did before, or there was the tough time back there. It's never transparent from any of these people. And so the constant need to create conflict or content for the internet, and the content always has to be powerful. It just makes me think they're just totally full. I can't believe anything. Rachel Hollis does not know. I
thought she had a good podcast today.
Oh, for God's sake. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let me guess, her current relationship with her boyfriend is perfect. It's the best relationship she's ever had. She's never felt more connected to him. Well, wait a second. You had never felt more connected to anybody but Dave Hollis before. And if this relationship burns, the next relationship is going to be the best one you've ever had. You know what I mean? It's like these people can't. And so I just.
It's so weird, though, like for me, how quick they seem to move on.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
I have a hard time, but they're like.
Because they're full of it.
Yeah. But it is so crazy. Like she's already like on to the next thing. And I just feel like she's a good motor in that way. Or she's not like really processing all the trauma.
Which seems more likely, right?
Yeah.
Like she's got a lot. Think about what she has been. That woman has been through hell and back. I think she's incredibly resilient, and I also admire her motor. I'm not trying to be. I mean, I know I'm being mean about Rachel Hollis. I admire Rachel Hollis, but let's be clear. She has been through hell and back, and she's in a very tough position where she has to put on this face for the internet. I know why she's doing it. I just don't believe it, and I don't know why anybody else does.
Yeah, because she's so good at it.
She is suffering right now. I guarantee. Dave Hollis died, 2 months ago? Mm-hmm. Her husband, for how long were they married?
20 years, I think, or 17.
Yeah. You think she's really stable? Give me a break. She's in the middle of a grief cycle right now. But she can't, and I understand why, she cannot go out there and say, you know what, I can't make any content for the next year. I just can't get out of my own room. That's probably how she feels.
But also, like, I think she has so many fans. I feel like people would support her through it. Like if she was just more authentic about her current trauma.
Well, she has made a lot of money on the internet and has been very successful, and I haven't. So I want to say like, yeah, that's what you should do, Rachel, but it's not like I have a burgeoning YouTube business like she does. So I think what she's doing that's how you do it. I just think it, like as a human, I think it sucks that's what works. And that sucks.
Yeah. Are you going to read Gretchen Rubin's book?
No, but we can talk about it next time, and I'll scream about Gretchen Rubin and her. I'm still angry about her 23 goals for 2023.
Why?
I'm not angry about it, but I just think also silly. All right.
I feel like we need to revisit them because I have lost sight.
The last time you were like talking a big game.
And now I don't even know what's on it. I'm like, shoot, I need to get back there.
All right. Good talking with you. I love you.
Love you.